Hey there, buddy, how's it going? It's Dragos, and welcome to something I didn't think I'd ever do on the channel, to be perfectly honest. Welcome to Doodles, because why not? Now, I realize the name is ridiculous, but it's essentially just me drawing whatever the hell I want, because, I kind of feel more comfortable with my art style now. For a while, creature creation time, that was the only art thing on this channel. Um, but now we have this. It's because I finally feel comfortable enough with my physical art style to actually do something with it. Um, so yeah, anyway, I should probably explain what's going on here. I actually had a plan for what I'd do in this video quite some time ago, and it was going to be a robotic stag or buck. So the male form of a deer, in case you don't know what that is. Um, and I started designing it, and I realized I'm going to have to be very precise with some details. And at first, I saw all these gaps that I knew I could put things in. So I went over with some stuff and did a little bit of detail on the inside of them. I added in a little bit of grass around it. I wanted to make it something because my original idea was just the stag. The entirety of the background, I had no clue what I was going to do. Also, in the later shots, my hand gets in the way sometimes of what I'm doing. That's because I had to move my camera around a bit to try and adjust for the blinking light that I noticed on the recording. It's not as bad here, but you can definitely see it sometimes, which is really tedious. So originally I was just going to draw a stag or buck that was robotic, but then I decided I want to have a background. But I thought if I did a full page, it would be too difficult at the moment for me. So what I did was I drew a circle and made it sort of like one of those old paintings you'd see where it's a circular frame and you'd have the central focus like dead center looking at the person viewing it, and then on you just have a background of some kind that would be visually interesting. And at first I started with a very natural looking background and even went back towards the grass area and put in a couple of flowers, had some trees, making it look like it was on a hill. And then I realized just being on a hill isn't enough for me. So I decided to go ahead and put a mountain in the background and had a little bit of fun with it because while I was drawing the mountains, I also drew a futuristic city in the background too, just to tie into the idea of robotic city, robotic stag. Perhaps it's something in the future, and I kind of just rolled with it. It's funny is the only thing that was planned in this piece is the stag. I know I've said that already, but I just wanted to reiterate it. The stag was the only thing planned. Everything else I just did on the spot. That's pretty much what I like about this. It's me pushing myself to actually do a bit more with an image and actually try some new things because I'm not good at backgrounds. Like, I don't think I'm great, but this here is the result of all that. Now, I love to use these. These are Copic markers, and I have a fair few. I'm going to get more. These are what I go to for most of my art. And as you can tell, I have a fair bit of them. One of those things on top is actually a correction fluid pen. These are all the Copic markers that I used to make this image. And honestly, I think this is about, I don't know, 40% of my markers, maybe 50. It's a fair few of them. All of those went into the making of this picture. And when it came down to it, I just started testing with some colors on paper, just to see what I could get out of all the different colors. And honestly, each one I tested, I knew exactly where I was going to place it. So the main idea with the robotic stag is it's kind of being lit from behind. So I wanted the shadows to be more towards the center. So I started using warm grays, I think 234. Yeah, 234. And then at a point I think I used 5 as well, I can't remember. But 2, 3, and 4 were for the main body, and then eventually when it came to the underbelly, I ended up using cool greys for that, just to add a little bit of contrast, because while the warm grey works and, you know, has that nice, as the name implies, warm tone to it, I wanted the underbelly to be darker, something that would help the in-between areas stand out much more. So I went in there with a cool grey, and I thought it would be very interesting, but I also wanted to add in some points of, you know, color, which is why the blue pieces on the horns exist. Those blue pieces are sort of like a, I don't know, energy point, I guess. I hadn't really thought it all the way through. But yeah, on the inside, all those little details you see, I used, I think it was B39, B05, and R27. Now, I did go over the blues with Cool Grey 3 on the inside, just to give them a little bit of visual standout. And then once I'd done the stag, I actually moved on to the grass area, doing little patches at a time, because honestly, this is the first time I'd ever actually tried to draw grass with Copic markers. I know it's hard to see it here, but you'll see it later on. I actually do go over with some of my darker green colors to try and add in like little flicks to make it look like the grass is actually in motion. And again, the flowers were the color they are because I wanted them to stand out. When it came to the mountains, I just did a really simple cool gray color scheme on the base of them, and, you know, added in some points which are darker, some which have shadow. And then for the snow-covered peaks of them, I went in with cool gray 1, 2, and B32. Yeah, B32, just to add in that little bit more contrast, or not contrast, shadow, more or less. When it came to doing the actual buildings in the background, I wanted them to be made with the cool grey, and that's what I did for the most part. The green little gem thing, that was just a visual point of interest, which I quite liked. But after I'd done that, I moved on to the trees because I realized I hadn't done anything with them, and they were taking up a fair bit of the area. So I did something I did similar to the grass. I put the highlight in first, then went to the mid-tone, and then to the darker tone. Then using the darker tone, I put in some streaks to make it actually look like it's proper wood. So if you actually did see this in person, you could see where all the streaks are a bit more accurately, not only on the wood of the trees, but also on the grass as well. And honestly, I quite enjoyed it. So this is where my camera likes to mess up the most, when I was actually doing the sky, which you can see here. It skipped. That's because my camera decided to die halfway through recording that. But I went with a yellow sky just to offset all the grey, because I wanted more visual impact, so to speak. We got the center of the image is grey mostly, so I wanted the exterior areas of the image to have some form of vibrance. So I went over it. So I went with a yellow color, and I went over the buildings with that. I also went ahead and re-outlined the stag, and also added in some white correction line stuff, correction fluid, just to make it look interesting. And this is the result.